Yeah, he was live. It'll never end. Just call and maybe be gone.
Alright, so we will call the meeting to order at 6:30. If you will all please stand with me and bow your head. Dear Lord, thank you for the day. Thank you for the opportunity for us to come together again. And may all that we do be pleasing to you, and our thoughts and our actions bring glory to you. And in Jesus' name we pray, amen. Amen. If you could take the American flag over here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And to the right, the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. You can have a seat. I want to recognize all these fancy guests coming here to see us today. How many of y'all signed up and want to talk? We got all kinds of people that want to talk. Maybe mistaken. Give me just a second. Give me just a second. Benji, you're signed up to talk?
Yep.
Okay. You know the rules, the whole 5 minutes?
This won't last
Not a
5 minutes, I
conversation,
promise.
you're good. Diego Agers, you're signed up to talk in open forum. Katie Perry, you said you're signed up to talk, I know you're there. Kennedy, you're signed up to talk.
Yes.
Tammy, you didn't want to talk.
No, I did not.
April, you know you want to talk. And then Sarah says she wants to talk.
Here she is, okay. So all of you know the rules, you get 5 minutes, it's not really a conversation, it's just you get to talk.
I'm not talking.
April said you don't want to talk?
No, sir.
You changed your mind?
We just signed on the wrong deal, honey.
That's what got me in trouble. I am talking, I'm just not talking. Yeah.
You have no intention of standing behind the lectern and have a presentation, is what you're saying.
At some point.
All right. Randy, did you push play or have you already pushed play? All right, good deal. All right, everybody knows you get 5 minutes. It's not a conversation with the board, it's just your opportunity to share your thoughts. And I'll set a timer on you. In 5 minutes, I'll tell you your time's up, and that's when you're done, okay? If anybody exceeds that, you lose points. Can you move this way and see? Benji, would you like to start?
Yeah,
First on the list.
I have exceeded that before, my apologies. Anyway, this won't be 5 minutes, I promise. I just don't ever turn down an opportunity to speak. It's hard for me to. So this is kind of impromptu, and I apologize for that, but I noticed that May is Board Appreciation Week. And I just want to speak on behalf of me, and I think at least half of the community, probably a majority, I would say. We really appreciate the solidarity, the transparency, the honesty that's been displayed by this board since November of 2016. I think as long as we can keep Sabine ISD out of the Kilgore newspaper, we're doing a good job. It's never going to be good when we're in the paper, as we've seen in our past. Y'all done a good job to keep us out of that, and I think the teamwork you've demonstrated with one another, it speaks volumes of your commitment to the community and helping repair our reputation. We appreciate that very much, and I just wanted to say sincere thanks.
You can take the whole 5 minutes.
I tried not to look at you when I was speaking.
There you go.
The Sabine Middle School Student Council of National Junior Honor Society would like to personally thank you for all your leadership, hard work, devotion, effort, and sacrifice you all put into making Sabine ISD a great school district. Thank you for all helping us on our road to success. Please accept this token of our appreciation.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, and Kennedy?
I got silicone. I got some.
I'm Kennedy Neighbors. I'm the 2017 to 2018 High School Student Council Secretary and the 2018-2019 High School Vice President. I willingly provide a vital and often, y'all willingly provide service to Sabine that requires honors of their own time, perseverance, boldness, and extremely thick skin. We would like to thank you for your advocacy in providing vision and leadership for student achievements, academic programs, district funding, and school facilities. Your administration ensures that decisions about our school district, one of the best in our state for our size, are made up for your familiarity with the needs and values of our community's children and families. You deserve recognition for your dedication to the continuing and growing success of our current students and those in the future. As Maya Angelou stated, which applies to our services to Sabine ISD, I have found that among other benefits, giving liberates and the Thank you for your willing hearts and desire to make a difference.
Sarah?
Lawrence Woodward once said, average leaders raise the bar on themselves, good leaders raise the bar for others, and great leaders inspire others to raise their own bar. Good evening, I'm Sarah Davis, 2017-2018 Vice President for Student Council and the 2018-2019 President. It is our joy tonight to honor you in observance of School Board Appreciation and present you each with our organization's gratitude for your service to our school district. You all have served countless hours working to make the education and educational environment of our district the best it can be for our students, teachers, support staff, and administration of Sabine ISD. Preparing today's students to be productive citizens and leaders of tomorrow is a tremendous task. As elected officials, you are individually and collectively the voice of our community, the place we call home. Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody I missed?
Yes.
Ah, I knew there was one more.
No, it's all
You're
right.
way back there in the back. I couldn't see
I'm
you.
gonna stand right here because everybody knows I'm short and that podium's probably taller than me. Okay. Hi, I'm Kaden Perry, the Sabine FFA treasurer. I'm here to give you a brief overview of the past month and the next couple of weeks to round out our school year. This past month, we have different events that we've competed in. The Ag Department was awarded a grant for $1,975, which will be used to purchase pins and supplies to raise rabbits, as we received this national grant, which allows us to have a class pet and hatch chickens. We also have a banquet. We had a banquet, the third. We were giving out green hand and chapter degrees, and our new officers were inducted. Our president was Brady Barrow, our vice president, Taylor Kunda, our secretary, Amity Henry, treasurer, me, reporter, Skylar Stafford, sentinel, Harley Hammer, student advisor, Delaney Wagner, historian, Macy Robbins. Brady Barrow competed in speaking contests, and I'm sure all y'all know Brady likes to talk. And the Ag Department has worked very, very hard to make sure enough projects were built and plenty of donations are given to make sure our auction was possible, and would love for y'all to join us. It's this Saturday. I don't know if anybody y'all heard that on announcements or anything, but it's not me. If y'all want to come join us. And it's for dinner too.
You get that out of here. Real quick for clarification, because I don't know if she said it right or if I heard it wrong, but the grant that they received was actually from the Education Foundation. That's what funded that 2000 with a $1,900 grant that she's talking about, which that's later in the meeting. We'll get to that in a minute, but just for clarification. All right, so we have everybody who wanted to speak. And so open forum is now closed, and we're moving on to information items.
Okay, as you can tell, this is Board Member Appreciation Month, and that's kind of what some of these kids have been talking about already. But I would like to say that as far as I'm concerned, I appreciate all of you immensely, all of you that are on the board and what you're doing. We will be going over some student successes later on in the meeting, and a lot of that starts with you, and I appreciate everything that you do for this school district, and you make it easy for me to work with you, and I appreciate each and every one of you. I'll put a bag at your place, and that's just a little token of my appreciation. Again, I can't say enough for the job that you've done for the last 2 years. It's been amazing. So we continue to look for bigger and better things as we move forward. So thank you very much. Next, we will have, well, I will let Ms. Bass, I guess, talk a little bit about what we're about to see.
Well, you're Miss Hill, and hear some wonderful voices from our singing sensations. And from the elementary, we thank you a bunch. Okay. You know, it takes, there's a little saying called, it takes a big heart to shake little minds. And we just want to tell you, you are the most awesome school board that we've had in a long time. We greatly appreciate you. So let's just get these kiddos in. They have beautiful little sweet voices. So y'all come on. We can band together. Join the crowd. Yeah.
Extra.
This is not
you. Junior high's next, right? Junior high gonna sing for us?
It's mostly.
They're saying no.
Most of y'all were in the singing sessions, I remember. I thought you were there.
I don't remember the next one.
Go find mom.
Okay, is there anything from else? I don't want to leave anything out, so middle school, high school, we're not done. Okay, all good. Okay, the next thing that we want to look at is our Globe Teachers of the Year. Not that we want to look at them, I'm just saying we want to recognize them. This is quite an honor every year. These teachers are chosen by their peers at the campuses for being elected Teacher of the Year. We had a recognition ceremony at Laterno University earlier, a couple weeks ago. They received $250 check and a lot of recognition, and they deserve every bit of it. The first one that I would like to recognize is our high school Teacher of the Year, and that is April Washburn. April, if you would come stand right in front of me. I'm going to read this about April, but there's a whole lot more to it, and a whole lot more than she does than what's listed here. But she's taught at Sabine for 20 years. She's taught PE, health, reading. Currently, she runs the UIL at the high school campus. She's English department head, ESL director, pre-AP English 1, teaches 1 and 2, teaches ready writing, and also the head track coach for girls and the middle school volleyball coach. And one thing on the Globe Teacher, they are required to write a little bit about themselves. And she says, I cannot imagine doing any other job but this one. The most important thing is to build a relationship with your students and then teach them character, strong work ethic, and to see the good in this crazy world. It really is a juggling act to meet all requirements of this job while also meeting the needs of students. I want my kids to be lifelong learners, and the most rewarding thing for me is watching them grow and become successful. I always strive to encourage my students to see even their failures as opportunities to learn. So April Washburn, congratulations.
Yeah, two separate pieces, it will roll off.
And if it falls, then
Thank you.
congratulations. You have an opportunity to speak now. if you want.
Yes.
I'm good. I have to anyway in just a few minutes.
Okay, and next, we would like to recognize our elementary Teacher of the Year, Mr. Renee McDaniel. There she is. Coming back. She began her teaching career in 1999 in Carthage ISD. Following that, she worked in Henderson ISD. For the past 5 years, she's had the joy and privilege of teaching music K through 5 at Sabine Elementary. She wants her students to experience the joy and pride of a successful performance, whether it is for their own peers or for a packed cafeteria full of family and friends. Not only are the children making beautiful music, they are making memories that will last a lifetime. She feels so blessed to even be a small part of that. She is known by all as Mrs. McMusic and has been a blessing to our campus. All in one day, she teaches students from 5 years old to approximately 10 years old. She taps into students' many talents to put on some of the best performances. We are all so very proud to have Miss McMusic represent us as our 2018 Teacher of the Year. Congratulations. Thank you. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is to go over a little bit, tell you a little bit about some of our student successes. And I'm going to let the sponsors do that. And principals, unless y'all are stepping in, that's fine too. But I have the sponsors listed here to recognize these kids. Just to let you know a little bit about the successes that we've had at Sabine this year alone. I counted up, and some of you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we had 18 different students qualify for state competition this year. Wow. 18, that's pretty amazing. Out of that, we have 6 state championships so far this year, 6 of them. And we have 2 runner-up state champions. So that's quite a feat for our kids. It says a lot about our kids and our staff. So at this time, I would like for Keisha Barnes to tell us a little bit about the kids you're going to recognize.
Okay. In January, we had our CX district debate competition, and the top 2 teams qualified for state and made it to the state level. And then they go in March, so we went over spring break to the state competition. So those 2 teams that qualified for state were Desiree Fleming and Alex Rodriguez.
Y'all stand up.
And Adriana Salgado and Jackson Lutz. A little bit about the way the state competition works. At the first day, there were 61 teams in the 3A division, and you go 4 rounds, and you don't know how you do until the end of the day. But every team has to do 4 rounds. So at the end of the day, they announce the top 16 teams that make it to day 2. Desiree and Alex fell short of making it to day 2, the 2-2 win, but Jackson and Adriana advanced to the second day with a 4-0 win. So they won all 4 of their rounds the first day. So which means they were on top to start out day 2. So the day 2 is the top 16 once you lose, you're out. The first round they won, so then that dropped them down to the top 8 schools. And then the second round, they did lose out that round, but they finished 6th place overall in the 3A competition. And then Sunday, I leave to go to Austin for one more state competition with Brady Barrow, who is not here tonight because I think he's at ag competition in Mount Pleasant, and he received 1st place in persuasive speaking at regionals. So we're hoping for another state medal next Monday and Tuesday. So.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, next I have Miss Susan Duncan, but the student that she is recognizing is over at the choir show right now, so we're going to recognize her on June the 11th at that board meeting. And that's Melena. She finished 2nd in state in journalism. April Washburn, would you step up and tell us about your kiddos?
My first one for you, I'll just continue that, is Braden Stice. Come on, Braden. Braden has been my ready rider for the last 4 years. He has made it to regionals every year, and his senior year this year, he advanced to state. A little bit about this competition. It's it's pretty much you enter 3 kids, you get a prompt, you get to choose and write, you get 2 hours to write. Brady was gonna use an hour, every, down to the last second for his writing. And, then it's graded, you have a panel of judges that read and decide which paper they like the best. So we started out competing in district against 28 kids, and then, of course, you've got all the districts with 28 or more kids, and ended up in state 8th place. So that's 8th place out of thousands of kids in the state of Texas, which is pretty good. And so I've been in Austin the last 2 weekends. I was there 2 weekends ago with Brayden for UIL, and then last weekend I got to go to state with Kristen Stewart. Kristen, you want to stand up? I'm very blessed to be able to see these kids not only academically but athletically, and it's amazing to get to go to state in both of those things 2 weekends in a row. Austin's not my favorite place. I agree with Coach Taylor, we should have it in College Station, but, Kristen, same thing. She has advanced almost every year to regionals, except last year she fought an injury. Came back this year, worked hard to be healthy. She had a goal in mind, and that was getting to state. She was not going to let anything stop her. And she's very competitive. This child, you get 6 jumps to advance, and every time someone would get ahead of her, the 6th jump, she'd beat them out. She just was not going to get beat. And so last weekend, she competed in the triple jump in state and finished 5th place out of thousands of kids.
Jerry Griffin.
Come on.
Okay, come on, Fred. Okay, this is a sophomore. Okay, probably one of the smaller guys in athletics. Would you agree? Okay, 2nd year power lift. Last year had a pretty successful year as a freshman. This year he told me he's going to go to state. He's going to win state. I said, okay. So we went through the season. We got to the Bo Bates Invitational, and we had a big hiccup. He bombed out. Just didn't get to get one of those big old medals that we had, and that put a big chip on his shoulder. Okay. We go to the next meet. He's not only wins it, but he gets the best lifter for the small platform. And that's out of it. We're not going to meets with 2A schools and 3A schools. We're going to school or 4A, 3, 4, and 5A schools. So he's competing against much bigger schools. Is there a meet you didn't get the gold medal? Pretty much every meet we went to, going up to regions, he got the best lifter, and he got the gold medal in the 123 class. We go to regionals, and not only did he get the gold medal by 200 pounds? 205 pounds. He got the top squat, top squatter, top bencher, and top deadlifter. So the picture, if y'all saw online, he's trying to hold all these plaques and his medal at regionals. We go to, we're the #1 lifter going to state. I had every intention of winning state, but not only did he win state by a lot, he's not only the state champion in 123 pound weight class, he's also the best squatter in the history of powerlifting in the 123 pound weight class at 455 pounds. So his name will be in that record book until someone knocks it off, which it's going to stay there for a while, I think. So, but it's sophomore year, so we're going to go back and do it again next year, and then the year after that. So.
Is Veronica Dugan here tonight with Macy? That's okay, we'll recognize them on the 11th. That's our Mason Rutland qualified for state in golf, so we golf champions. Keith Taylor, Keith. BJ, was that your medal you did?
No,
That was right, just keep that.
But I'll piggyback kind of off of everybody, before I introduce my kids, but, I just like seeing the variety of successes that we're having. I think that speaks a lot for our district. Anybody that's been involved in this stuff, you know you can't do it without support. And so we have some of those supporters here, and just want to thank you. I mean, the support from parents and everything, from athletics to academics to the other stuff, the fine arts, but we have support from parents, we have support from our campus principals, and then from you guys, Mr. Bryce, and the school board. So anyway, I know that we say that, but we could not be successful like we are, all of us, without the support we get from all you guys. And I know at the high school, Coach Sean's done a fantastic job of really helping us out, supporting us, as well as the parents. And the other thing, if you know, sometimes you're aware of this, but I wasn't that good at sports, but I got to play sports in high school, and I got to do academics, and now I've got to coach both of them. And it doesn't matter whether it's art, band, ag, athletics, UIL, I'm probably leaving something out. But if you can compete against other people and make it all the way to the state level, just make it there, you are doing quite something. And I think a lot of times people don't really understand what it takes and who all you're beating out to do that in any of those events. And so all these kids that are here have just done a fantastic job. So anyway, that's just my little spiel. I love extracurricular activity, all of it. I just think it's awesome for the kids, and the advantage of being in a smaller school because they get to do so much, except they miss class so much.
He gets 3 weeks of spring break.
My mind works in the order of the test that we take, so I'm going to get the number 6 kids that all come out, number 16. There's 3 different events here. I know we kind of get grouped as math, but there's 3 different events. And so the first test, or the first group is number sense, and y'all won't know the what we went through to get this one. We've been trying to get the number sense for a while, and we thought we had a chance at it last year, and we just didn't get the job done. These guys came back and were determined to do it this year. Believe it or not, there are days when they had to deal with me getting mad. I guess it's for the coach. That from outside comes in here and give them a little chew. I'm trying to motivate them. But anyway, we got down to Austin. They did good, so they brought back our first state championship in number sense, and just very, very happy for them. This is Armando Borrego, senior, T. Taylor, senior, and when it said Amanda Borrego in the newspaper, it was James. It is Armando, not Amanda. And Mackenzie Williams and Scotty Taylor. He was our lone medalist at this event. He was 3rd in the state, but collectively we were the deepest team and it paid off for us. So anyway, that's number 6. Now calculator team, that's next.
He got part of that individually.
And you have T and Scotty, but you have Asia Davidson and Jalen Lewis. Asia's a sophomore, Jalen's a senior. We're losing a good group of seniors this year, so we'll have to kind of work to replace them. But this is calculator, and for them, they had a goal to keep it going, so this is the 3rd one in a row. So this is back to back to back state championships in calculator. And Jalen medal, she was 5th place, and so this was her first time to compete for us just because of our depth. A lot of people that didn't make our team could compete for other teams, but we're pretty deep in these things, and so this was her first year to go up there. She placed 5th. Asia was 7th, missed the medal by a spot. Scotty was 3rd in calculator, and T was able to fight off his teammates and 2 other guys to get his 2nd in a row state champion in calculator. So, and that's the 3rd for our school. We went Devin and T and T. So somebody's got to step up and keep the streak going next year. Asia says it's gonna be hard not to. I don't care who it is, I just hope it's somebody. So that's calculated. Math, we get the addition of sophomore on the end, Carter Horton, and senior on this end, Jeff Thompson. So that they won, this would be their second. So this is back-to-back state championships in math. So that's good for them, they were excited about that. This one honestly was probably the one that we felt the safest in because we had an anchor in Jeff. And he had a goal, and last year, I thought he did good, but he left the state meet. It's good when they leave the state meet very upset with a 5th place medal in all state. Well, that disappointment fueled him this year, and so he brought back our school's first individual state championship in math, so real proud of him. He was 2nd place in math. And Scotty was 3rd place in math. And then Carter let 3 seniors get 4th, 5th, and 6th. But he was 7th place, and he missed medal by place. But the top 20 were seniors except for Scotty and Carter. So hopefully they help us next year. Anyway.
It doesn't go unnoticed that all 3 teams had 2 underclassmen, 2 of those which being sophomores, so we expect the trend to continue for at least a few more years. Thank you very much, Coach. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Do what?
Even with the naysayers
Of course.
saying it's over this year, it can.
You're gonna graduate off.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happened in basketball a few years ago? Yeah, you can't do it again.
Well, to all of you students that made it to the state competition, congratulations. That is quite a feat. And we're extremely proud of you. Not only how you represent us academically, but how you represent your school just first class as far as conduct and demeanor when you're out there. We appreciate all of you. Sponsors, we appreciate y'all. Thank you for being here tonight.
Mr. Ross,
Yes.
I know she won't speak up, but Jennifer Davis had some place in state with art, so I know she won't speak up. But
Well, my kids aren't here.
Well,
so
one's
I'm
here.
back on the 11th. Well, Brayden is here.
Yeah, and we recognize one before, so yeah, that's fine. We'll get everybody on the 11th. that wasn't here. So.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank y'all very much. And now is the time to where, if you don't want to stay for the whole meeting.
Come on.
Y'all do.
I love your face, probably right in that camera when you were pushing. I thought about that when I was looking at it. I'll be honest. Do you have your papers? No, we're tired. You can sit down. The whole front.
Is this the work down, Coach?
You're gonna lay down up there?
So far.
Always on there. Outside of the city. 4.0. The last year's 2017, this is 2018. Just want to point out that we did increase the scores this year, both in academics and then in our athletic events in the spring. We scored more points than any of the other teams in athletics also, so it's just academics, athletics, fine arts, everything that we have done this year has been fantastic. But I just wanted you to see that. You can compare those to what we did last year. And just like to also let you know that the spring, what they call the spring champion, for some reason, UIL is doing away with that. So this will not be park next year, but decided we wanted to last 4 years. So, glad with that, then an update.
That's why they quit doing it. So they can't do it, we ain't doing it no more.
Update on total points. Coach Taylor didn't say anything about it, but we had a total of 126 at the state academic meet. Holiday, who overtook us last year, has 94. Keisha's taken Brady Barra this coming Monday and Tuesday down to do the speaking events. The only problem is that Holiday has 4. So they have enough points to overtake us again, but with the addition with Brady, if he can, there's 2 that's in persuasive speaking. And I feel like that Brady is good enough, and on his best day, he can beat just about anybody. And he has done this consistently for the last 2 years. So we feel like we have a shot with him in winning persuasive, cutting into their points there. But Coach Taylor and I added it up, and if they do really, really well, we're probably going to lose by a couple of points. But, you know, at least we have a better shot this year, even though last year we didn't know how strong Holiday was in the speaking events. We do know this year. And we just are hoping that if Brady can get first place and then they slide a little bit on one of theirs, that will work out. We'll have a state championship. Makes no difference what any other team does down there. We can't do any worse than second. So 2 times second or 1 time second and 1 time state champ tells a lot about the kids that we have, just what they're doing, what their sponsors are doing, and more importantly, the importance that y'all play in allowing us to go places and compete. And, you know, we have to have that. We have to have the money for travel. We have to have the meal money. And then we have to have some practice material for these kids. And, you know, I've never been denied. And, you know, my heart thanks you for doing that, because I said years ago that our kids were as good as any kids anywhere, and they proved it. And it wasn't just one person, it was everybody, and all of you played a major part in that, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we'll go to accounts payable. Okay, if there's no discussion or that anyone needs there, then we can move on to update on softball field and security update. Softball field, we do have drawings from the architect now. We have contracts with the architect that's being reviewed by the attorney at this point. But we do have some drawings, and the planning is on the way. You'll start seeing some stuff move out there pretty soon. Right now, we're trying to pinpoint the water issue that we talked about before underground there, so they're working on that before they want to set anything. But things are in place, and like I said, the drawings are completed on concession stand, restroom, dugouts, those type of things. So anyway, we'll be looking at bringing you some options to look at on cost differences on artificial turf, real turf, and that type of thing. So we're rolling right along with that. The other thing is security update. You know, our plans are to look at having some things done this summer that we discussed earlier. We have another meeting with them with two that have put bids on it. So we meet for the final time with them Wednesday morning So we should be able to narrow that down too. And hopefully get that rolling so that this summer, those items can be complete before school begins. So look forward to that. Okay, upcoming events. That's just listed for you guys to look at. Don't forget, tomorrow is the Senior Awards Program in the auditorium at 7 o'clock, or usually we're in the library at, by 6:45, so we need to be there for that. And, you know,
6:45?
Okay, any questions on any of that?
All right, next item on the agenda, number 5, is the consent items. Tradition is we approve them all unless you have something you want pulled out. Okay, can I get a motion to approve consent items as listed? Patty, get a second. Paul, any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. All right, discussion items, number 6.
Okay, I just want to let you know that, and you may already know it, there's a new board training that is required for all of you to take. And I knew that you wanted some more training, so push for it. Really, it came from Senate Bill 1566, and what it is, it's a mandatory 3-hour training based on student achievement only. So that training can be done at the service center. We can bring someone here to do that training. It actually can be done online, is what they're saying, but that won't come out until June 1st. Details on that. But that's something to be thinking about. If y'all want to bring someone here so we can get that training done, we can do that this summer. Region 7 folks can come here to do it. And it is required and has to be completed by September 1 for all board members.
3 hours?
3 hours.
If we took it at the service center, it'd have to be during the day, correct?
I don't know what time they actually offer it during the day.
But if they came here, we could do it at night.
Do it when
You can do it online, do it Saturday at 2 o'clock in the morning.
And I don't know how the online training is set up, because they haven't come out with it yet.
Yeah, it hadn't been set up yet, but that's
Yeah, I wonder about it, but anyway,
in your pajamas.
if that's something, you know, I don't know what y'all's thought is, but we can get them to come here, so that would be easier for them.
Whatever works best for the group, I'm open to whatever.
Let's lobby for that.
Lobby for what?
We think that online is boring.
Online is very boring.
Yeah.
We may actually make all the way through.
At least with somebody, you can have some give or take.
Well, you get the interaction and feed off each other anyway.
We can look at that, to do a little later in the summer after
So
we
we have to do
finish
it by
our
September
budget.
1st?
By September 1. So I'll be getting with you on a date that we want to look at.
Way to spring it on us here.
Do what?
Way to kind of spring it on us here. Instead of Texas.
Spring it.
Well,
Well, you know,
I mean, these boards only get together once a month, so.
well, the other thing is, you know, you can get, districts can get that 3-hour training, and it would count for that, and team building training.
That was what I was gonna ask.
Oh, that would be good.
But the only requirement is, and I hate to say this, but the only requirement is all 8 of us would have to attend. So.
That's not gonna
That's not
happen.
That's not gonna happen.
So we probably need to look at, you know, us doing it.
Okay.
So,
So,
Okay. I bet there's gotta be an exclusion somewhere. Has it been here a year? How long's it been? I don't even know.
well, we can look at that. I can check.
he didn't show up for, our training. team training.
Yeah, you can start our team training anyway.
All right,
I'm checking that. so.
you're good with that? So B, Ms. Gant,
Yes,
your turn.
thank you.
I'm not going to take very long. I just want to say to each of you, I am so grateful to you as a board. I know many of you personally. It's just a privilege to be here, and I appreciate being here, and I thank you for your time and for listening to me for a few moments. I sent you a letter. I'm sure you're already up on that, on what I wanted to know. I wanted you to know that 15 years ago this month, next month, I was hired on at Sabine. It's been a privilege and a wonderful opportunity to be here. And I think sometimes when you just stay in the moment of where you are and the good things that come, it's a wonderful adventure, and I've enjoyed every moment of that. Something happened last summer. I turned 65, and being single for about 15 years now, my life changed. Things change when you get older, and for me, not only physically have things kind of gone downhill a little bit, but something I noticed was that, and the last thing I wanted was for the contributions to my check. That hit me, and that hit me as a single woman in a difficult thing, and I didn't see it coming. I didn't know about it. And as you can relate on whatever level you're on, that's kind of a broad-sided thing. So I began to do what is appropriate, which I went to central office first, and I asked questions. And I went to Mr. Bryce, and I asked questions. And I went to a few trusted co-workers, and I asked them questions. What did not satisfy me was the responses I was getting. And I put that in your letter, that to me, I do not allow my grandchildren to give me these answers. It's always been done that way. I don't tell my grandchildren that's the way I did it, because that's the way my mama did it. That's not, I think, a learning and a positive response. I heard another one that says other districts don't pay it to the employees. I'm talking about this contribution to insurance. And I thought, well, what other districts do is their business. I mean, I know that there are districts that do different things than us. I know we do different things than other districts as well. And so what works for us as an autonomous district, for you guys who stand behind us so faithfully, and as we stand behind you guys as we have so faithfully with this, I had to ask this question: why? Why do you only as a board give a contribution to someone, an employee, that takes TRS? So I did some digging, and I had to find some answers, and one of them was, is it a state thing? I mean, does the state say, okay, we're going to fund you because you're going to, this is the money we give you, so if anybody opts for another option, we can't do that. That's not true. And I was disheartened. And I want my joy and appreciation for this school district to be what you remember about me here. But I also ask, and I openly ask, that you revisit that. Because those of us, I was so thankful for Medicare. I still pay about the same amount of premium. The difference is the deductible. And for someone in my situation, a $2,500 deductible plus 20% of everything else is big. It's big for me. So with this contribution that comes back, hopefully, would make a big difference. So I want to just ask, that this is my request, that you as a district, I know you have got a huge budget cut in the state. I'm aware of that. I know that there's softball fields, and I know there's all these kids, as Coach Sean so wonderfully said, that you have supported everything that the UIL kids need and the students need, and that's vital. Please hear that. I understand that. But as an employee for 15 years, I'm vital. What I do for this school is vital. What other people do for this school is vital. I don't think you can take one area and say, oh, but this is more important, or that's more important, or they're more important, because I make up this school district as do others. So tonight, I want to say again, thank you to the school board for what you've done all these years. I have supported you from day one and will support you in everything you do that's good for these kids and good for us. But I earnestly ask, that you reconsider the contribution to those of us who have other insurances besides TRS.
Thank you, Ms. Bent. All right, this is not an action item, it is a discussion item. If there's any discussion that needs to take place, you're welcome to or able to at this time. Yes, sir.
I'd like, Ms. Gant, I'd like to just ask a couple questions, because I and Pat have crossed that magic threshold where Medicare came into play, and she was previously TRS and then became TRS retiree, and then TRS retiree eligible for Medicare, all of which are different categories with different premiums and different benefits. And it was a very daunting effort to try to figure out what's best for the Morchat family. Did you talk to TRS people? You said you talked to some friends of yours, you went to central office, but did you actually talk to TRS people?
I talked to TRS, and I will say that in my circumstance, because I came on so late, TRS retirement will not be something that will have significance to me. You know, I'm 65, I've been here 15 years. Prior to that was the wonderful job of Social Security, which we know will not be a double dipping situation with that. I went to Copeland Insurance, I have checked with TRS, I have checked with Mr. Gentry, I have checked with Copeland Insurance on all of these things. I'm not going to come out ahead in that sense. I mean, I don't have the options, and I'm taking full responsibility for that. I don't have the options to say that, okay, once I do retire, I'll retire when Jesus comes, you know, or something happens in between that time. So I plan to work, I hope to work. I just need and ask that that difference be there. Because for me, it makes a big difference in the contributions.
So if I can follow up with one more question. Sure. So you dropped, in a sense, your TRS coverage, which was provided.
I do not have the health coverage.
And you're just insured with Medicare. You chose not to get a Medicare supplement.
I do have a supplement.
But that's kind of what TRS was. I mean, in a sense, it became the Medicare supplement.
But not with the deductible and not the 20%. I pay $183 a year for deductible, for anything. I have a $2,500 deductible for just me, plus 20%, and those who are in network, dental or doctors who are in network, those kinds of things that you have the extra for, you know, that you had to come up for. I mean, that's just costly. I mean, it just is out-of-pocket expense. So I was most excited with Medicare. It's just my premiums when you pay Plan B and the supplement and the insurance for my prescription comes up about to what I pay for TRS. So those are roughly the same. The difference is the deductible that goes out as well as not having that 20%. That makes sense?
Clear as mud.
That's how I feel so many times.
Trust me, me and Pat went through this with TRS, and you know,
It's a minefield for me. It really is. But I appreciate your question. Anyone else?
I'd like to know about how many of our employees are in a similar circumstance as Frida.
And I don't know that, I mean, I don't know.
Well, there's a catch-22 here. We cover, as a district, anybody who takes advantage of the insurance that we provide. It's the same with the company I work for, the same Paul's company, with any company, your employer provides insurance. And if you choose to be part of that policy, they pay all or portion of that insurance. Now, if you choose not to, if I went to my office and said, you know what, I don't want to use a company insurance anymore, I want to go with somebody else's company, boss don't say, well, let me just pay you the $200 or $300 I've been paying towards that policy. You don't get that benefit. Similar situation. But in the rest of it is, we don't know how many people that are not taking advantage of our policy are on their husband's policy, or on their wife's policy, or on Medicaid, Medicare, whoever. They may or may not be insured. So there are dozens of people that we don't know their situation. There may be 3 or 4 like her, but there's dozens more that are just not on our policy and we don't know why.
Right. But in your research, you found out that across the state, various school districts do allow some extra for people like you, is that right?
Districts vary, and Mr. Bryce and I have talked about that, and they've done, I think he and Kevin maybe have done some research on that in the past. I mean, I'm not hiding anything about what other school districts have done. And actually, in essence, what I'm saying is that what other districts can do is what they can do. I mean, we can't compete with what 5A schools or 6A schools do. And and let me just address one other comment that Mr. Tony made, and that is for a husband and wife who maybe can get better insurance rates with their Eastman husband or with their Laterno or something, that's great news. But the bottom line is, as the district, I do not understand how you can say that only if you take TRS, when it is not a state supported, you get no funding for that. And to say that it's just like an employer, I don't know, in great respect, that I don't know that that's an answer for us, because the school district is not like an Eastman company.
Well, but I worked for a company that had 40 employees. So I'm not Eastman, but I worked for a company that had 40 employees, and I had insurance benefits through my company. And if I had just for me individually, they paid everything every month except $50. I was on the hook for $50 a month, they paid the rest. I couldn't, and I don't know how much that was, but $400 or $500 a month, whatever that was. I couldn't go to Jay and say, hey, you know what, Jay? Company insurance sucks, I'm going with somebody else.
Well, but see, in all fairness, Tony, you wouldn't want to.
No.
$50 a month.
But at the same time, there were people that did, because of their situation, they were able to get better insurance through their spouse, because their husband worked at Eastman, or because their wife worked for the state of Texas, or whatever it was, that we didn't have preferred, because we only had 40 employees, so we had not so great insurance. It was best for me, but it wasn't best for everybody.
And what's best for the individual and their families, I think, is vital. And it's something that one must look at, and I know as a district, and to go back to your question, Patty, I don't know how many this would entail. If someone has no insurance, then in my opinion, they don't get that contribution because they're not paying insurance.
But are we supposed to police that, keep up with who does? What if we start paying you that you cancel
I think it's up to the personal
it?
responsibility of that person.
But, Ms. Cannon, I'm not going to argue with you, I'm just asking a question. If we say, if you choose to go with an alternative version, and we'll go ahead and fund that at the same rate we're funding, and then 6 months into it, you cancel it, are you going to notify us that you cancel it, or are we going to keep paying you forever? Because we can't police that.
I would like to say, for me, it comes down to what the district can afford. And you made a statement that it's more important what's best for the individual, but as board members, we have to look at the district as a whole and all the employees as a whole, not individuals. And I understand your dilemma. At my own job, right now, I have an insurance policies. I would love to have the $2,500 deductible. We have $5,000. And we have to pay all of that before the insurance even pays anything. And in my own particular situation, I would be better off to be able to be on my wife's policy, but her policy says if insurance is provided for me at my job and I choose not to take it, then I can't be on her policy. So I actually would have to get my company to sign something saying that they don't provide any medical insurance for me to have the opportunity to be on her policy. So they would force me to take that policy in office. So the insurance bill, as Dr. Morchak was saying, is just
Clear as the mud.
but what we have done as a district, just so you know, and there's probably a lot of people out there, all the raises that we've given over the last 8 years that I've been here, the 10 years I know about, the insurance topic is part of that raise topic every time we talk about it. Stacy always comes in and tells us how much premiums have increased, how much more is coming out of employees' pockets because of insurance, and we have given a lot of raises at this district based on the cost of medical insurance. And so some of the raises...
It's not necessarily based on, but
part of it, that's been a big part of the topic, that we know that you're making less money this year working for us than you made last year because of the increase in insurance premiums. And that's all employees. And so there's been times that we've probably given some raises when, as a district, we probably shouldn't have financially. We've stretched our neck out there. And as you just stated, you know the situation with school funding right now. It's horrible. Honestly, I wish you get your insurance wherever you get it, and we could give everybody a $10,000 raise this year.
But the reality is, we can't afford that. So for me, it would be how much would this cost the district? And how much can we afford to pay situation? Because the insurance deal, it's a struggle. And at all families. So.
I appreciate your willingness to come
Yeah.
and talk about this. It's such a personal matter, and I admire you for doing so.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Anybody else? No, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next item on here, bill credit.
I just want to bring to your attention that, I know you already know that our dual credit program is strong, but we're going to add a little more to it this coming year. We've teamed up with Kilgore College, and we're going to offer courses that, as you know, they've had the Fire Academy there for many years, and we have students that are interested in that. And so we're going to bring that out here to offer to our kids at the high school campus. So some of those kids that are looking into making careers into the fire and rescue, then they will have an opportunity to do that. Now, what this is as far as working for a fire department, it's got to the point to where you nearly have to have a degree to do that. So that's what we're offering these kids, a chance to get jump-started on their career. And we're not talking about volunteer fire department, we're talking about professional fire departments. And so the Fire Academy, in working with Kilgore College, they they offered it to Sabine High School, and they offered it to Kilgore High School. Those are the only two schools that are going to be able to do it. I don't know yet if Kilgore is taking them up on it. I know when Coach Shaw and staff went to kids at the high school, we had enough interest to go ahead and bring that here. So I think it'll be a great situation for our kiddos. So just some information items for y'all in case you're asked about it.
Budget.
Okay, preliminary budget planning. Mr. Handel, do you want to take that?
Well, we have gotten to the stage where we got our certified estimated tax roll from the appraisal district.
As good as that is.
Mr. Bryce and I went and had a meeting with Ms. Neely, the chief appraiser. And in that meeting, she informed us that the certified estimate that she'd given us was about $19 million too high.
No, the estimated.
Yeah, the
Not certified, the
estimate.
estimate.
Yes. And so our certified estimated tax roll at this point is just above $398 million as far as an overall tax base. And our certified values last year were $414 million. So our tax base is going to be considerably lower this year than it was last year. I don't think Mr. Bryce and I have a whole lot of confidence that that will be the last downward adjustment.
We think it may go down again like it last year.
But, well, I mean, what we found in our meeting, when we met with her, about 2 weeks ago, I believe, was what happened to us between the time we got the certified estimate last year and the certified values last year. We just found out about 2 months ahead of time this year.
We just got a head start because y'all went and talked to her.
Yeah, we got our estimated in, and it was about $4 million less than last year's certified. So after what happened to us last year with the certified coming in, $15 million less than the estimated, which never happens. Never happens. Yeah, it always goes up. So my question was, well, we had to feel comfortable with the numbers we were getting, so that's why I'm following the meeting. And then when we get there, Oh, we all glad you called because they're really $14 million less than what I sent you 2 weeks ago. And I'm not blaming anyone, we need good numbers, you know? So, that's where we are. I do
Did she
not-
say because of an error, or because numbers changed, or is it just oops, or?
Here. But I do not think it will go less than the numbers we got the other day that Kevin's talking about, 398 million.
So it's still less than what we got last year, but at least you're confident enough to build a budget around it.
Right, that's the whole deal, that's it.
The budget for that bill will not, the tax base they use in the budget will not be far up as it has been in prior years.
Well, and that translates in our budget about $113,000 is what it.
The good of the bad news is, since our tax base was lower than last year,
We're getting a bump from the state to make
we
good.
get a bump up from the
Yeah.
state this year, indirectly, about $260,000 more in state revenue this year.
So it was 113 of that was this.
Right. So it's not as bad as it could be.
Well, not as bad as it was last year anyway.
Yeah, our deal is, at least we know ahead of time before we bring the budget to you guys to adopt, so.
And you think you know ahead of time.
Oh, no.
But you thought you knew last year.
Oh, yeah. And that's all we have to go on. And, it's, yes, she's going to be, recalculating up until the night before we come to y'all for budget. So, you know, because we've got to have accurate numbers on this.
Okay. Any other discussion about budget planning? We all good? All right, on to action item 7A, engagement letter for the audit.
Okay, Kevin, want to take that one?
This is the normal time of the year for us to bring to the board the engagement letter with our external auditors for 17-18. My recommendation would be to approve the engagement letter submitted by Karen A. Jackson Associates for our school year ended June 30th, 2018.
All right, so we have a recommendation from Kevin. Can I get a motion to approve? Dr. Morchak, get a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. 7B.
You have the calendar, Kevin?
Okay.
One of the things that we have to do in May, at the May board meeting, so that I can advertise in the newspaper within the timeline set up by the state for our public hearing that we have on the proposed budget and proposed tax rate, is I need to get y'all to approve tonight when that meeting is going to be. Our suggestion would be Monday, June 25th as the date for the public hearing on the budget. An alternate date would be that following Thursday on the 28th.
Okay.
25th or 28th?
is a Monday night.
May or
June. June 25th or June 28th?
June 20th.
Either date right now.
Is 25th a problem for anybody? 25th works for everybody? That's a public meeting on the 25th. Is it in your calendars?
We'll have a proposed budget, proposed tax rate for next year, as well as the final amended budget for 2017.
So Kevin makes a recommendation on the 25th, and get a motion.
I'll make a motion.
All in a second. Okay, any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. All right, band trip, Mr. Handor.
Okay, you know, I know this may seem a little unusual on Mr. Handorf coming to ask about a band trip, knowing that, you know, he won't be with us next year, but it will help a new band director coming in to already have something planned. And I will say, if we get a new band director in here that would rather do something else, then we still can do something.
Absolutely.
But,
I spoke to
we have
him.
it planned.
I spoke to him this morning on the phone, and I said that would be fine, we're not locked into anything contractually. In fact, he said that the date for our first payment was May 25th, and he's like, I think we're gonna move that. I was like, that's probably a good idea, because I told my kids the first due date for payment is $140, and that's in September, and he said that'll be just fine, that won't be a problem at all. I get to stand here, and this is where you guys get to listen, because I just kind of want to echo what has been said all this time. By the way, you can have 25 kids to that state roster, because I have those that are going to state the following Monday from this. Right after graduation, we get on the bus and head out. So I'm super proud of those young men and women. But I want to say thank you. This is one of the very few jobs that I have just absolutely fell in love with. And one of those things where you can kind of walk away, and I tell everybody that you're leaving. I'm like, I'm not leaving. I'm just going somewhere else. Because leaving implies that I have something left behind that has been untouched, and it's not. This place, and you can see it, thank you for having me now, not in another hour, because I don't know where he was. He wanted to show everybody Chuck E. Cheese, by the way. Anyway, but you know, as parents, we make those decisions. Especially in my position, he's gonna come up here and do something. Anyway, but as parents, we make those decisions, especially when we're led by God, and just being blatantly honest, and His providence in my life it's been undeniable. And so, making that decision for my children, but I just want to say thank you for your support, for the years of service that you guys have given for your children, and you probably wanted to set my face on fire and figure out what attracts you today, and that was fine too. For the administration, I couldn't work for better guys back there, and for Coach Sean, for Mr. Reeves, and Ms. Kentrell, and coming up Mr. Pepper. So I want to say thank you first and foremost. But I'm sure that this one's a little more water because I let my daughter hold it. But at any rate, if you guys will go ahead and get out the unique travels, I'm certain that you have that in front of you already. If not, but I'll just take can you go over there and hang out? Oh, hang out. My wife is judging the pop show right now. So couldn't. Grandma and Grandpa didn't come through. But yeah. Thanks a lot, Mom. That's for your birthday present. At any rate, We've decided to stay. I'm sure nobody's ever dealt with this. Need like a leash or something. Hey, go over there. Hey, look at Chance. He wants to hang out. Go
What's
look.
his name?
Go
Maybe
look,
he'll
Jim.
come over and show you. Jim, come here and show me what you got on your phone.
Go show Miss Pam. Hey, go show Miss Pam. She wants to go there. Yes, every kid, how old they were and what they did against the wall. So it'd be great. Thank you, bless you. But anyway, we decided on this one, not just because that we got to stay at a resort in Cabana Bay, but also for the fact that the dates, that they coincide very well with when our spring break falls. We don't do anything outside of the year, and we don't do anything during school days that's considered extra time out for non-UIL related activities. So with March the 9th, obviously, through March the 14th, 2019, and we got the cost down quite a bit. As you can see on your sheets for student payment, it's $519 per person. The band boosters, as of right now, a safe number, which we've always given a lot more than $100. But as a safe number, we said we can put $100 per kid, just for students, and then parents pay for their own way, and that includes charter buses, which are about $9,000 a piece. So you got to be real careful about that. But we always get a lot of support. During the years of, they just kind of come out, it's like winning the lottery. The people just kind of, hey, you're my family. No, I don't know you from anywhere. But parents come out and help support, fundraise. And so I feel pretty confident that they're going to actually get to make the final payment on every student that is wanting to go to the Orlando trip. And he's cute, you can take him home if you want, that's fine. It's fine. Okay, I'll have a blast. So much fun.
That's a tough age.
So it is.
Get the best we can do.
Especially when he's just like you. Hey, son, look, I need you to go to the hall. I love you, buddy. There you go. Go to the hall. Go to the hall. See, James? Look, there's Mr. James. Go sit down. At any rate, but I feel pretty confident about that. We have set aside to make 3 payments of $140 a piece. And we feel that's very reasonable. Once in September, once in November, and then our last payment will be due. I may be able to push that to January since the trip's not until March. And so we find it to be very reasonable. If you go to Florida, just you for $519, that includes travel, that includes most of your food and events, that includes
4 days at Universal, and you get to stay at Cabana Bay Resort, which is much safer because it's not a hotel outside where you have to be trafficked in every day. It's on the Universal side, so it's like an affiliate of Universal Studios. And that gives the kids 4 full days at Universal. We feel that we've done Hawaii, never again, ever. We've done the cruise, we've done Chicago, which was fantastic. And I gave the students about 3 choices, and they voted on this one. So this is what I'm presenting. Are there any questions? We deal with this company all the time. They're ex-band directors, yes, sir?
2 questions. As I was reading this, it reads to me that the $500 per student price does not include a pretty big heft for the buses. How is that going to be?
We pay for the buses. The band boosters set money aside, just in case we do a travel like this. And so that's completely paid for. That's
band boosters.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Band boosters pay for that.
not school.
Not Sabina.
None of this is being done out of our budget.
Everything you see here is non-school
So
funding.
this
We just have to approve over.
They can't go unless they say, but we don't have to fund any.
That's right, that's right,
Gotcha.
that's right.
So the buses will automatically be paid regardless of number of students.
That's correct, that's correct.
And that's something we've always done, is we never use taxpayer money.
Okay.
Still.
And this is all approved, like you said earlier, this is on the caveat of the new band director is good with the plan.
I'm good.
And these guys have always been great to us. If they want to change things, Rob said we can, they can. These guys are ex-band directors, so they know what to do. In fact, one of them is, what's he doing?
He's down for
talk, he's good.
It's fine. Is the ex-director of UIL for the state of Texas in Austin. So,
We're good.
Your time's up.
Otherwise you gotta take them home.
Get a recommendation?
My recommendation to approve the band trip.
Based on recommendation, get a
Sure.
sure. Patty.
That's sure.
Any discussion? All in favor? All right, good deal. You're going.
For y'all's years, for y'all's wonderfulness, yeah, you know I'm bailing out here. I'm leaving now, but I'm leaving. Thank y'all so much, guys.
And the next thing on the agenda.
All right, Misty. Jim, I'm leaving. No, not Jim.
Asleep.
We got commercial agreement.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think we're ready for you. All right, one more.
Now, the next thing we have on the agenda is approving the regional purchasing co-op that we do every year. And that's going into an interlocal agreement with Region 7 for the purchasing co-op so that we can, have better pricing on the commodities, on goods. And to do that, we need to approve the resolution to do the interlocal agreement with Region 7.
Okay.
Any
Recommendation?
questions? The recommendation is to approve the resolution.
We did this each year.
We did.
We gotta redo it again.
I remember last year.
And this is for the next school year.
I make the motion to approve this.
All right, you get a second?
I remember.
Paul, any discussion? All in favor? All right. You're starting to remember, because you haven't done this before. All right, come on, Missy. This is another fun stuff.
This is the fun stuff, not as fun as Chuck E. Cheese going around.
I'll tell you, it was hard to Chuck E. Cheese up there.
Well, Tammy's passing out a little report, some of it was already in your board packet, but I added pictures to make it pretty. So, first off, I just wanted to do some highlights for the foundation this year. We had the employee giving campaign, let's just make the employees aware that it's going on. We had over 14,000 pledges from the employees of Sabina IC. It makes it about 70% of our employees donated to the Education Foundation.
Hey, real quick, do you have one of these?
I do have an extra one for, I was going to give one for those. And that's one of our big things. Our second one was the Rockwell Foundation.
that's gonna be an annual thing that we do. We had roughly 275 people attending. We had steak dinner, games, live music, band, auction. Really great event considering we planned it in 6 weeks. And we made over $40,000 at that event. We do have a save the date for our coming up one in October, so everybody get on the calendar. And so we can plan on rolling. It's gonna be the 13th of October. I wasn't gonna have time to show a slideshow, so I was trying to impress Tony. There's a QR code over here in the corner. If you scan it on your phone, there's a video of our Rocket Foundation. So if you scan it, it'll go directly to our video, and you can do it sit here in closed session if you want to. We just have to.
I'll do it, I'll show you.
Okay, you show everybody that's your.
October the 13th?
October
13th is the next one.
Yes.
Sean already knows.
Yes, we put it on that, we've already, I think, got the band booked, and we're hoping to double the attendance, well, at least that's how it's been warned.
Yeah.
Over here on the side, I just listed a little bit of our, the employee giving thing. It's just, we did a little incentive, and they could win gift cards and stuff like that, so there's just a list over on the side of who all won, and then, of course, my officers and directors on the foundation board. The next page is a detailed sheet of grants. We awarded 26 grants district-wide with a total of $39,613.61 is how many grants we awarded. I have, well, one of them was Teacher of the Year. She's already gone, Miss McDaniel, she got one. I have Laura Strickland. She's got a big one, and I didn't know if maybe she wanted to kind of just a tad bit hint what hers was about. It's very impressive. No, Tony's looking forward to it.
I've been thinking about it for about 2 years, wondering how I would fund it, where I could get the money or private donors and what I would do. And then out of nowhere, the Education Foundation came up, and I thought, it's exactly what I need to do. I didn't want to do it for my classroom. It needed more than that. It wasn't just for my campus. I felt like every campus at Sabina ISD could benefit from it. It's a virtual reality. Like I said, there are districts that have been using it for a while, not in this area. I felt like Sabine was a great place to kick off this area and get us into this technology that will help children from pre-K all the way through 12th grade. And talked to our technology people, ran it by a few other people in the district just to see if they would have an interest for their children. And everybody was really excited about it, even people that didn't know anything about this technology. So I appreciate the Education Foundation coming through with that grant, and they even upped, I tried to be very conservative so it would look really pleasing to the eye in the budget, and they upped it for me, so that was really nice. If you don't know what virtual reality is, and that system, I also did a piece of paper with 3 QR codes on it.
And it shows videos.
It has some videos about how it's used in educational systems and things like that, and what we might be able to do with it if we go through with my plans and my thoughts. So I'm super excited, and my kids are just thrilled.
And on top of that, all our grant winners got these great shirts, if she wants to say that, so they can show everybody. That was our Cardinal Pride Patrol. We went through, and some of the pictures can tell, I think everybody had a good time. We love
Remember
everybody.
Mr. Reeves tell about his too.
Oh, Mr.
Junior
Reeves,
high.
do you want to
Tell
tell
about
about
our
yours?
junior high one.
Yeah, that's a big one too. Yeah.
Okay, we got several at the middle school. But one of the ones that Ms. Cantrell and I worked on was for our library and creating pretty much a makerspace, but kind of beyond that as well. And so some of the things that we got was a video production set. We have a green screen where we can do video announcements and things like that. Other kids can do projects in there. And it's a company called Padcaster. This works off of an iPad that you have to provide, but then it has everything else that you need with the mics and all that kind of stuff to go with it. We also got a 3D printer. And by the way, this stuff that we purchased, I got every one of these ideas from going to TCEA in Austin. So when y'all send us down there, it's not just a fun trip to 6th Street. We do go to these conferences. And we do bring stuff back that will benefit our kids. And I like to spend a lot of my time in the exhibit halls figuring out what can be used. And so everything we purchased on this, I got the idea from going down there either this year or last year. The other thing we got was the company called Maker Maven. And they sell kits that have like 6 or 7 different type of makerspace things in there, from Strawbees, which is where you can use straws and connectors to build anything and everything. They have little tracks that then you can motorize them, little circuits and all kinds of other things, but there's multiple things in there. We bought little robots that could be used as well, that we get kind of added to it, and other little things where students can come in and just tinker with the different stuff that we have to create and use their imagination to build and to construct and figure out and problem solve. We also added to that a 3D printer. When I was down there this year, there was a company that was advertising if you bought 3 or 12 spools of filament, which is the plastic that is used to create these things, they would throw in a 3D printer for free. And I thought, how could we pass that up? And so I've been trying to figure out how to get that done, and Education Foundation came along and kind of added that to it. And so we'll also have a 3D printer in the middle school as well that we can tinker with and kind of figure out its purpose. It was cheap enough that we could roll the dice and see how it could benefit us and what our kids could get out of it. But we were really looking forward to kind of changing the face of our library into something more than just a library. It'll still be a library, it'll still have books, it'll still have a purpose there, but what else can we do with that space? It's the biggest room on my campus, and how can I use it was kind of my mindset going in. And so definitely want to thank the Education Foundation for approving that grant and getting us that money.
Well, following that, we had, also there was, the grant processes, they fill out applications, turn it in, we go through the process, have a review committee and all that stuff. Well, we did decide that we wanted to start something also, and it was mini grants. So they're $100 grants, teachers didn't write an application, so they were the ones that were shocked the most, because you had all this noise coming down the hallway to your classroom, and they were like, I didn't do anything, what did I get? And they all got a $100 grant. So just kind of, to let them do things in the classroom too. And there's some other things down here at the bottom that we're also planning on funding, that they're not here, so I guess it'll still be a surprise to them. Teacher of the Year, we're planning on doing something for those. Something for new teacher orientation. And also, I'm in the process now of accepting dual credit scholarship applications. And the deadline for that's the 25th, so I should have more of a number on that, on how many scholarships we're going to issue for the next coming up school year. There's that. And then I have a breakdown of each campus. We have how much the elementary got. The elementary got over $12,000 with 10 grants. Middle school, over $10,000, and that's with 7 grants. And then the high school got a little more than $16,000, and that was for 9 grants. And then that also, the 9 mini grants was in there. One thing I wanted to add to it was, it's hard to believe, it's kind of been a whirlwind, because a year ago this time, I was with the steering committee, forming the foundation, and then for us to be able to give this much money back to go into the classroom, not even a year later really, is an awesome feeling. And I know that goes towards the community supporting the foundation, and also some great directors I have. And the ones that are here, if y'all stand up, Ray Player, the president, Amy, they've given a lot of time and effort to it and all that stuff, and this is the fun stuff. This is what we enjoy doing. So yeah, but I just wanted to tell them, thank you for volunteering their time, and it does take a lot. And with that being said, we do have, I forgot to bring my bells and whistles because we were going to do it again. But we have a big check to present the district for $39,613.61.
We'll take it.
Before I do leave, can we get a quick picture with all the trustees with the big check? Because I've got to add y'all to my slideshow that I make at the end of the year. So.
If I could stand at the back.
If you could stand in the back.
Tammy, you want to get in the picture? We'll get behind Tony.
Sure. Somebody got to hand the other half of the check. I'm hoping.
I need to get a picture.
As long as
Okay,
I don't mind my face.
Get a picture.
Got it.
Mr. Bross, you gonna be here?
Yeah, I'll say, I think, come on, Superintendent needs to be.
Here, I'm
Get in.
short, so I'm gonna have to get in front.
You hold the check.
You hold the check.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Everybody smile, 1, 2, 3, say money.
All right, great, thanks.
Well, there we go.
Wait a minute.
Oh, you're short, get it right.
Oh, she just needs to lean this way.
Please,
There we go.
this way. No, wait a minute.
That'll get
Just a couple of things for board members and anybody in the audience that wasn't part of the process. There were several grant requests from teachers that going through, because I was on the grant approval committee part of it. There were several people that asked for, I think Laura says, I asked for this, but after we got to looking at it, and me and Randy or whoever's in the room talked, and you know what? They could really do this if they just had this much more. And we were able to go into 2 or 3 or 4, but I forget how many it was. 3 grants, on 3 different grants that started with this much, that we were able to expand that just a little bit more to give them so much more. Just because, I mean, it was a great idea, but what if we did just a little bit more with it? And so there were several grants that we increased. Out of all the grants, we did everything from literally rabbit pens to virtual reality. So anything in between. There was a whole lot, it was 18, no, it was 17 because we had one drop out. We had a teacher that's not going to be here next year, so her grant was removed. But we had 17 grants that were actually approved, plus the mini grants that we gave to people, just a little $100, Merry Christmas type things, plus the grants we're going to do with the new teacher orientation when we do that before school next year. We're going to give out some grants just to say, welcome to Sabine, by the way, here's $100 to put in your classroom. And so it really is a great opportunity for teachers to get some stuff in their classrooms that we can't fund otherwise, because we just lost another $130,000 somehow. But anyway, this is a great opportunity for the community and the people that helped us do that. We appreciate it, and the school obviously appreciates it. And I know the kids and the teachers that are involved appreciate it. So thank you very much. Thank you, Misty.
Thank you, Misty. Go to school one day, Misty's got me in the mentor program, and while I was in there, I noticed that the middle school painting situation that we've been working on for a while hasn't been on there. But after we talked to Misty, the 4 gentlemen that they don't want the names said, but we took them out west. They, I guess it's probably blackmail, would probably be the term they would use. But once Stacy finally gets them out for a painter.
I've got it in there.
Okay. What I told them was they need to give the money to the Education Foundation to then turn around to pay the painter to get them to paint over at the middle school. So that's more money out there.
Okay.
And they generous.
Give it.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, again, you folks on the Education Foundation, we certainly appreciate all that you do, because I know, you have to come up there every month to meetings, and then more meetings if you're on the committee and all that, and we appreciate what you do a lot.
Yes.
And while we appreciate it, the kids are the ones receiving the impact from it, so that's what it's all about. So I'm extremely happy with the way this thing grew in a short period of time. The goal was $100,000. I think we're going to be there. So, Misty, you're doing a great job. Thank you. And at this time, it would be my recommendation to approve the donation from the Education Foundation for $39,613.61.
Can I get a motion? Patty, can I get a second? Danny, any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. There we go, we'll cash that check now.
Okay, the next thing then, since that has happened, is budget amendment to put it to good use. Kevin?
In order for us to be able to start spending the money, I need the board to approve the budget amendment that's in the packet that recognizes the revenue and then sets up the accounts in the general fund for us to spend the money out of the different campuses. Totaling $39,613.61.
So recommendation to approve the $39,613.61. All, second, Danny, any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. That moves us to closed session at 8:11. Longest meeting ever.
That's what I was gonna do. I was gonna